Hi everyone, how are you? Good afternoon. Welcome to Conversations with MM. This is Marivir Montebon here in Woodside, New York. I hope everybody's doing well. It's already autumn, the third season of 2022. How time flies, and it's abnormally very cold already, despite the early stage of autumn that we're still in. And it's the end of the month. Oh my God, how time flies, no? And this September, we had so many activities, and New York has been bustling all the time already since last year. And I had the opportunity to join an activity at the United Nations. It's a side event, and it is with the United Nations population studies. And I would like to thank my good friend Vanette Colmenares for inviting me. This was about um, a memorial lecture of our very own Filipino diplomat who has been the instrument in the proponent of population studies worldwide, no other than the late Rafael Salas. And to commemorate his memory, his wife, former Ambassador Carmelita Salas, has traditionally created a lecture on issues that concerns women and children, population, and quality of life. And so, at the auspices of the Scandinavia House, we attended a lecture, and here is a photo. I'd like to share that. That's Ambassador Carmelita Salas. She is from Cebu, and now she is based in California. And with me is Vanette Colmenares, my colleague and good friend here in New York, colleague at the Phil and Press Club of New York, and also with our nonprofit Women in Immigration and Communications Cafe, We Cafe. So we went to the Scandinavia House on September 21, a few weeks ago, to listen to the lecture on trade, the value of trade in improving the lives of women and children. And so I'll show you more photos. This is the event was graced by one of the patrons of the UNFPA, Crown Princess Mary of Denmark. She's the one in the middle. And I told Vanette, like, who is this, you lovely lady? She really looks like Nicole Kidman. And we didn't know that it was the Crown Princess. It was so exhilarating to realize that later. And so you have, again, Ambassador Carmelita Salas, along with the UNFPA Director, Dr. Natalia Kanem, and the speaker, Dr. Iyala. So they had a very, the speaker was articulate in making her case on making trade. She is with the speaker was with the United Nations Director General of the WTO, Dr. Iyala. So here is at the forum. We're there. Well, you couldn't see us because we were somewhere far away. So that's the Crown Princess who was about to listen to the speech of the speaker. And so at that forum, the speaker, Dr. Iyala, mentioned that trade has slowly but vigorously, and they're pushing vigorously to include women to become participants in trade, especially on the negotiations for what products to to sell so that their lives would improve. And so she said it's slowly but surely happening. So Now, the role of trade in improving the lives of women and girls has been the 18th forum conducted by the UNFPA in commemoration with the memory of the first executive director of UNFPA, Rafael Salas, the husband, as I mentioned, of Ambassador Carmelita Salas. She was Dr. Rafael Salas was described as a consummate diplomat and visionary leader. He broke barriers in making population programs truly about improving women's lives. And Dr. Ayala um, noted that the WTO has transformed itself to become mindful of women's active participation in trade and so that their lives could be improved, their working conditions could be improved. She calls it reglobalization, where women unleash their power for inclusion and participation. She acknowledged that it's a slow process, but it's moving. And with conscious effort, women leaders all over the world are making it faster. So there you go. Now, it's been a truly um, honorable event that Vanette and I were able to attend to, and so um, we welcome activities like that, so that this is this is to encourage women leadership, women participation. Okay, and so also on September 21, I attended a forum on the commemoration of 50 years of martial law, and this was facilitated by the Harvard Asia Center, Harvard University, and the speaker was a historian, Joseph Scalice, and he pointed out a lot of a major revelation in 50 years of martial law. This is the the event that I'm talking about, the imposition of dictatorship. 50 years since Marcos' declaration of martial law in the Philippines. So this was on September 22, sorry, not 21, this year. And so Joseph Scalice is a historian, and he's coming up with a book of the same title, The Imposition of Dictatorship. He had extensively studied about Philippine history. And so why did Marcos declare martial law? And he noted four important realities. He noted that the global social crisis was the major root of that martial law declaration by President Marcos. It was also facilitated by Washington because, as he said, um, whatever the geopolitics, whatever the whoever the person is in Washington, the presidency, the U.S. will always mind about geopolitics, its positioning in the world as a global um, leader. And so it was also mutually agreed upon by the ruling elite. There were, of course, the rich people who wanted for Marcos to impose martial law, and it was likewise facilitated by rival communist parties in the Philippines. So all these factors were able to push Marcos to impose martial law. And so it was that there was Proclamation 1081, and here the newspapers, radio, TV were shut down. Mass arrests happened, and strikes happened, and Congress was padlocked. This was actually on September 22, 1972, when the imposition was done or enforced. So that's the main message of Joseph Scalice. So there he is. It was a Zoom event, and it was also timely because at the time, uh, President Bongbong Marcos was here in New York at that time. So it was a timely discussion. And I would like to share the short video clip when 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 asked what is the attitude of Washington on President Marcos. And we know that President Marcos went to have a conversation. He had a visit at the White House and talked with President Biden, but media coverage of his activities um, were not really vigorous here in the U.S. I mean, the U.S. media. So we'll check on that, and let's listen to what historian Scalice had to pinpoint about the relevance and the significance of Marcos coming to the U.S.
Okay. We only have a few minutes left, and I think I've more or less been able to capture at least if not the exact details of every question that was raised, and there were too many. There was over 30 of them. I was trying to combine and capture the spirit of some of them, but I think it would be, given that Marcos Jr. is visiting and actually on the East Coast here right now, perhaps end with a few of your thoughts just about the significance or symbolism of this visit, but also the address, if you had a chance to hear it, that was given at the UN on Tuesday. Because the U.S. and also, why is the U.S. press, do you think, just not covering this? I mean, I searched through newspapers. As far as I could tell, there was very little. A few papers put the address to the UN with no comment, no analysis whatsoever. They just let the video speak for itself. So that would be, I think, an appropriate way to end this wonderful conversation with you, Joseph. And thank you again for your talk. Please.
This is a fascinating question, and one that I've been thinking about this week. I mean, there's two reasons why it wasn't raised. Let's start there, and then we'll talk about its significance. On the one hand, I think from the vantage point of Washington, from the State Department, from the Pentagon, which certainly wants, in the form of something known as EDCA, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement established under the Aquino administration prior to Duterte, the restoration effectively of American military bases in the Philippines. And for them, the jury's still out. Marcos is not yet decided to be in the camp of Washington, but it's clear that he's stepping away from the camp of Beijing, and thus, to an extent, that informs whether or not there's going to be coverage. Certainly not entirely, but there's an element of, if Washington's excited about something, it winds up in the paper in one way or another. There's an element of that. But I would also point out that Marcos's visit is sandwiched between the funeral of the Queen and Putin saying that he might use nuclear weapons. And as a result, maybe received less attention than it might otherwise receive. We have a world war effectively playing out in Ukraine, and we have the adulation over royalty, and Marcos is lost somewhere in between. What was the significance of Marcos's visit? Make no mistake, this was a significant visit. It was significant for the Marcos family personally, and it was significant for what it represented in terms of America's relations with its past. The United States backed Marcos to the hilt, as they promised, all the way through Ferdinand Marcos Sr., all the way through the 70s. The Nixon administration did so with alacrity, the Carter State Department with some reservations, and Reagan in a way that was unprecedented. Ronald and Nancy Reagan were personal friends with Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos. Imelda and Nancy used to compare notes on what their astrologers said about what was going to happen that week. When Marcos was finally ousted, the last person to agree to have him removed from office was Reagan himself. Reagan's entire cabinet turned on Marcos before Reagan personally did. There's this long relationship, and America tried to cover it up when they brought Cory Aquino the widow whose husband was murdered by the Marcos administration in one fashion or another, to speak before the Joint House of Congress, to establish its ties with democracy in the Philippines, and so on. But it did not entirely succeed in this. The Marcoses stole billions of dollars. It salted away in Switzerland and in New York and so on. They were guilty of immense human rights violations. They had been brought before international courts on these charges. Marcos was not even supposed to be allowed in the United States. His visa was denied on the grounds that he faced human rights charges. I don't recall the precise details, but prior to his election as president, this was a president who was elected who could not travel to the United States. But the US State Department lifted these requirements and allowed him to visit, clearly indicating that those dead and murdered, those stolen from, the majority of Filipinos in one way or another, were less important than relations with Malacanang presidential palace. And tragically, and I say this as a scholar who is himself an American citizen, this is a long history of the US in Asia and elsewhere. When Rodrigo Duterte launched his war on drugs in 2016, that turned into a campaign of mass murder. In its early stages, as hundreds of victims were already racked up, John Kerry provided money from the US government to back the war on drugs. It was only when Duterte announced he called Obama a son of a bitch, and then he announced that he was establishing ties with China, that suddenly the United States started to speak about human rights. Realpolitik, geopolitical interests, trump human rights concerns from the vantage point of the White House, regardless of if it's a Republican or a Democrat in office. And the welcoming of Marcos to New York, his presence at the UN as an elected representative, as the elected leader of the Filipino people, revisiting effectively the scene of the crime. This is where their wealth was stored away, where Imelda had her penthouses and her shoes. It represents a great reversal. And people should take note. We should draw the historical lessons of this. It should not be allowed to continue to stand. That's my argument. But yes, make no mistake, it was an event of historic significance.
Great, thank you. We're just a little bit over time, and I wish we had more time to chat because I.
Thank you so much. That was Joseph Scalice in the forum on imposition of dictatorship, sponsored by the the Harvard University Asia Center. And the one who was facilitating it was Professor James Robson. And interestingly, Professor Scalice mentioned that there was not much media coverage of the Marcos visit here in New York because they were still trying to feel the the societal vibes, the community vibes of Filipinos here in New York and the U.S. And considering the many things that Marcos is accountable for, which is the current cases on their ill-gotten wealth and human rights violations ever since the time of his father, President Marcos Sr., and at the time of his predecessor as well. So all those made America kind of careful in terms of dealing with the president. But the fact that he's given a temporary the immunity is being enforced, and so he's able to come in, is something that you're looking at Washington as considering him for geopolitical interest of the U.S. So that's politics. There you go. That's how Washington, D.C. Conducts itself. And so moving on, back here in Woodside, the elections, the midterm elections are coming up. It's coming up on November 8th, 2022. And in the Filipino community, we have a person running for election for the New York State Assembly, no other than Stephen Raga. Stephen Raga is with the Democratic Party, and he will represent District 30. District 30 includes Woodside, where I'm at, Maspeth, and Jackson Heights. And we had a conversation with Stephen um, at the opening of a restaurant in Woodside called Little Manila. And so just take a listen at this. Hi, Stephen. How's your campaign going?
Oh, okay. It's starting to come back up for the general. We took some well-needed rest during July and August, but we're starting to come back and finish strong for November.
Wonderful. What is a uniting issue in your electoral territory that will put you on your seat of the Senate?
Sure. Hopefully, in general, the uniting issue is to elect the more qualified candidate, which I believe is myself. But in general, there's several issues that are split throughout their community. Some, for a lot of issues, it's public safety. Others, it's housing. It's healthcare, transportation. The system here is kind of a little bit deteriorating.
Yes.
So and also small businesses like here today, Little Manila Grill. How can we support our immigrant small businesses? All of our small businesses who are in the front line of COVID, feeding us, and not just us, but also around the hospitals here and the healthcare centers. So there are several issues, and hopefully we're tackling all of them, so we can tell the electorate we're the number one candidate.
Good luck to you and all the best.
Thank
you, Stephen.
Okay, thanks.
There you go. That was a quick conversation. We were on Roosevelt Avenue and 69th Street, where the opening of Little Manila fast food grill and fast food took place. So it was a chance to have a great fast conversation with Stephen. All the best, Stephen, and hope you will clinch it to the New York State Assembly on November 8th. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, exercise your responsibility to elect your public officials. And so go on and check it out. Check out your precincts when you vote on November 8th. Also, we had a conversation with Brendan Flores. He is the national chair of the biggest organization of Filipino Americans in the U.S., the National Federation of Filipino American Associations in America. So let's listen to what he's saying. He's been in the forefront of educating and advocating for issues that matter to Filipinos in the U.S. So let's take a listen to Brendan Flores. Hello, how are you today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. So congratulations on your award again for TOFA. What can you say about that?
You know, it was unexpected. I thought I was coming here to speak. Sorry.
You're in Woodside.
I know, yeah. I thought I was coming here to speak. I've been doing it for the last 7-8 years, supporting Elton and the community, bringing people together. And unexpectedly, I guess I'm receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is humbling. But it's not really an award for me. I think it's an award to NAFA and the Filipino American community.
So what's NAFA busy these days with?
We just recently celebrated our 25th year anniversary in Las Vegas. And we had about 700 people attended, and it is the largest Filipino gathering since the pandemic. And it's just nice to bring our community together in person, learning about civic engagement, advocacy, and really focusing on leadership development. So it's been busy.
So is there a specific program, leadership program, or issue advocacy?
Yeah, absolutely.
That you're focused?
Yes, as you know, it's election season, so we've been very busy educating our community. Our New York State President, Rochelle Ocampo, has done a phenomenal job really bringing the community together to educate them on the importance of civic responsibilities, whether it's handing out flyers, teaching them the importance of, again, voting, registering to vote. So a lot of things are happening, especially here in New York.
How many members do you have now? How many states are covered?
So we have, we're in 14 regions across the country, over 30 states, and the goal is to really make sure that every state is represented. But obviously we're heavy in places where there's a lot of Filipino Americans. But again, the goal is to ensure every state is covered as the largest Filipino American organization in the country.
All the best, and thank you for what you do.
Salamat. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's Brendan Flores for you. ladies and gentlemen, a young Phil-Am leader who is in the forefront of advocating for social issues that matter to Filipinos in the US. And so let me look at our photo here. Here we go. So, as I mentioned, we were at the time at the Little Manila Grill and Fast Food. And this is the most recently opened Filipino restaurant here in Woodside. And there's food over there, Filipino lutong bahay. It's yummy. It's not greasy. I love the mongo because it's not greasy. So I ate the mongo and a little bit of rice. And that was fun, fun, fun. And it's I'd like to share with you a poem by a wonderful, well-respected teacher and poet in the Philippines, Palanca awardee Miss Merly Alunan. There she is. I asked her permission if I could share um, the poem that she made on. It's called Ritrato, but it's in Cebuano, and I'm going to read the English translation of it in a couple of minutes, and it's about our social reality, and that's something that we should always recall and remember so that it won't the problems, sticky problems in the Philippines will not happen again. So Retrato, here goes, by Merly Alunan. Ah, a photo of the stunning Imelda and her children, everyone looking fine in the pink of health. Not a day of hunger have they known. Her husband, that Ilocano, look. Doesn't he look like a king? That man, 14, 15 years ago, a whole nation under his heel. No one squealed, except here and there a few college brats, some mountain folk. Can't be helped, I suppose. Bloodshed now and then, pocket outbursts quickly quelled. 20 years the Ilocano's word was law. Beggar, laborer, merchant, lawyer, judge, bishop, philosopher, saint, soldier, soldiers especially, bowed to his words. Complain, and then, just like that, lose freedom, lose properties, go to jail, or else, why not, lose your life? Murder, a simple thing in his word, was law. The national debt ballooned, no jobs, wages shrunk. To bring food to the plate, wives and daughters turned to whoredom. Plane loads of tourists came, their dollars propping up the sagging regime. Wild rumors, fabulous offshore accounts salted away, while the lot of us who lived off our labors just got poorer. Children went to bed hungry, died quietly, quietly buried. Grief and anger, the people kept quietly contained. The stunning Imelda never stopped shopping, keeping up with high fashion in London and Paris, real estate, mansions, jewelry, as though the kids selling sampaguita garlands in the streets of the capital did not exist, as though she never heard of young bodies trading cheap and easy sex for food, shelter, and clothing to pervert tourists. Look at this photo. Look, he and she groomed to perfection. The children, round cheeked, rosy smooth, little godlings in their darling innocence. Ay, but old wisdom says, when the measure's full, skim off the excess. It did come to pass that the Ilocano and his queen got skimmed off 31 years ago to the day by people power. This photo now, look at it carefully. These cherubic godlings, the tyrant spawns, are crawling back to power that they think are theirs by right of descent. Ay, Filipinas, now gather your generations, oppressed by unrelenting venality and greed. Don't allow them to forget the shame, their necks under the tyrant's heel. Give them to drink the bile of your memories, your infants sleeping with empty bellies, the burnt homes in the forests. Feed their minds with the lace of your saints, martyrs for truth and for your sake. haunt their dreams with flashing daggers. And on the day of the test, I, Filipinas, pray the angels of peace will sit on our shoulders to lead us to the kinder world we seek. Merly Alunan, September 21, 2018. I love that poem. Thank you so much, Ma'am Merly, for allowing me to read your poem here. Hope you're doing well in summer, and thank you for always inspiring us with your words, with your wonderful um, poems and prose. Miss Merly Alunan is a Palanca awardee, and she is not resting on her laurels. She continues to speak the truth to power. So I say it again, remember that we should defend our freedom. It isn't free, and it is to be defended all the time. So this is it for now. I have given you a lot of a report about what's going on in the film community. And so, let me share these nice things in support of the Filipino entrepreneurs here in Woodside. So I was able to talk to some clients at the Little Manila Grill, and here's what they Hello, Miss Nelly Valmoria. Did you like the food? Ganahan ka sa food, ate?
Yes,
Lame?
food is really good.
So what did you have?
I have tinubuan and vegetables, mixed vegetables.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, they have like beans, squash, okra, and what else? Again, ampalaya.
Ampalaya.
Yeah.
So ganahan ka. Hi po.
Hello, my name is Emmy.
Hi, Emmy. What's your family name?
Haley.
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 Oh, okay. So, did you like the food here in Little Manila?
Yes, I love it, and it's
What-
very delicious.
What did you eat?
I have the caldereta
Oh, okay.
and the pancit canton
Uh-huh.
and the pakbet.
Pakbet
Of
with
course,
rice.
With rice. Of course, the lechon
Uh-huh.
is excellent
Excellent. You will come back? Babalik po ba kayo?
every day.
That's great. Thank There you go. Oh, she's going back there every day. Well, that's about it for now. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And see you again in our next conversation with MM. Take care. Keep warm.